Have beautiful music, Pedro. I do love it very much. Let's stop it. Dulcet tones of BoredGamer. Change my channel to ASMR, and you can listen to me all night long. Boom. Hope you can see me now. Let's assume that you can. Oh, there's my head is creating a lot of shine. Let's see if we can fix my shiny head. Editor. Go to shiny head capture. And let's... Can everyone hear me okay? I haven't got garbled voice or anything, have I? I'm going to lower the white balance so that my shiny head disappears. How's everyone going? How's everyone doing? I was just on the Base Radio Star Citizen podcast chatting, I don't know, something almost similar to politics with Chantal and T.O. And William. It was good. It was good chat. Today we'll talk about some general news in Star Citizen, of which there's not a huge amount this week. There's been some PTU patches. I think we're on to the 3.5.0 P patch at the moment. For the PTU, we're still waiting for a live build. PTU is available to everyone though, so it's not a huge deal. It's just we are a week behind the live schedule. As I said, not a huge deal. It's just be nice to have a live build, because then they can start moving towards a 3.6 branch, and then we can get a more stable look at what 3.6 is going to be. 3.6 having some amazing features, one of which is being rentable ships in the persistent universe. That is a huge deal. I can show you what I'm looking at here. Can't see my face anymore, but you can see. You just got used to me being a woman. Well, we'll look at that in a second. If anyone's got any questions about Star Citizen, about the channel, about me, I am going to be talking about the podcast that I want to do. I'm helping today. I want to get some of the some extra ideas and some finalizations on certain things, or at least talk about some of the stuff that I want to do for the podcast that I'm going to do, which is Star Citizen centric. But it is obviously something that I will be doing. But we'll talk about that in a minute. If you've got any questions about that or ideas about what you'd like in the podcast, then please question in brackets and then ask any question you want about Star Citizen, me, the channel, mental health, my dad, my legs, my face, why are you such a sexy potato? Damn. But yeah, 3.6, which is the next major patch, is coming Q2, so end of June. And it does have rentable ships is the current plan, which will be amazing. We're getting lots of different exterior variations to rest stops. So we should start getting larger and larger rest stops, much more variety there. AI should start to be a lot more sensible because it's getting better pathfinding for that patch. Cover usage, civilians moving around, sort of like different areas and zones. The AI for that's all being more focused on. Getting more economy stuff, lots of improvements to the animations and ragdolls, lots of animation stuff, in fact, with carryables and things like that as well. The lore system, huge improvements, hopefully, to, or at least larger gameplay features for unlawful players, as well as lawful players coming together, actual reasons for them to fight each other, reasons, more and more reasons for them to have missions that oppose each other, people being chased by the cops and things like that, missions being generated for that, things like that. We are getting the 890 jump and the Banner Defender. Hopefully the 890 jump won't get pushed back. Getting the Vanguard Warden update, which is going to be a big update now. They are changing everything from basically the cockpit back, internally at least. We wanted those Wardens to have a lot more use in the game, and the Vanguard series in general to have a lot more use in the game. We're going to have a missile launcher as well for FPS, which is going to be fantastic. Been very much looking forward to a missile launcher. Different from a rocket launcher, missiles should track potentially targets, lock on and track. The client to server actor network rework stuff, that's going to have big improvements hopefully. for network code for the game. Planetary Ground Fog Tech, which is a big part of what they're doing for Crusader. It's sort of like a layered fog, the way that light goes through that. And then Procedural Asteroids V2, which is huge as well. And then they're putting the rest of the sort of like client-side object container streaming stuff in. So that's pretty big. And we're actually seeing the shield replacement tech go in for 3.6 now. It's moved forward. That's the sign distance field stuff. That should see shields wrap around a ship a lot more sensibly. There's lots of other stuff going on there as well, with better ecosystem stuff and better spawning on planets of like nodes and things. Bam. Put that in the background for a second. I love you guys. That's what I want to say. I've had a few beers on the base podcast, so I'm a little bit more floaty than I would be normally. But I just wanted to pop by for a bit and just chat to some people. Let's have a look, see if there's any questions. You did catch a live stream. Good for you. The top of your head is somewhat misshapen. I've got a beautiful head. Look. Okay, look, I was a cesarean section. Okay? I was cut from my mummy's tummy. And I've got a weird shaped head. I've got like a little, like a ridge. I look a bit like a Klingon. I've got a very long head. That's just something that you need to deal with. I've got 120,000 subscribers. My head has been instrumental in getting some of those subscribers. Why can't you twerk and Saurus kiss and make up? I know that I have 3 podcasts to watch on your own. Do you? I've just talked to Saurus. I just said I'd appear on the Redacted podcast. I didn't have time to appear on the Redacted podcast on the time they had it. It was one of the reasons I stopped doing it so much. But they moved it to Sunday, which is much more doable. So I said I'd appear on next week's podcast. Me and Saurus and Twerk could get on pretty well, I think, still. I get on very well with Twerk. Haven't talked to Saurus that much. Talked to him tonight and went, yeah, I'll appear on the podcast. Just don't... People contact me and poke me. I say hello, do whatever. I'm relatively busy, but I mean, these are some of the people that helped me out when I was really low, really like super depressed back in the day. I'll never forget that. I've got their backs. I'll appear on the podcast. It's all good. Sorry, bored. I was going to sit and watch, but for some reason my 4-year-old son thinks he's more important, so I'll have to go play with him. I'll catch up. You'll show when it's done. It's okay, Gio. I just know what your priorities are. Your priorities are your son and not me, and that's fine. Will it be possible to make a profit while renting a ship? Yes. Otherwise, what's the point of renting a ship? You'll make more of a profit if you own your own ship in the long term. I think that's the idea, isn't it? But it's a bit in flux. It's a bit sort of like, well, it depends on what you do. It depends on what you risk reward system. Star Citizen's not a black and white, this is the only way to make money sort of thing. I mean, in the short term, it's going to be that. In the short term, it's going to be like, what's the new place? What's the new Jump Town? If we've still got Jump Town, are we going to have Paradise Falls as well as Jump Town to go to make UBC in the short term? But once we have a bit more to the game, a bit more of the mechanics, once we have reasons to play, no more resets, then I think the universe will open up a lot more. There'll be a lot more opportunities, and there'll be a lot less sort of like cut and dry of what is the best route to do stuff. Board, would you use your your ability to speak to persuade CIG to add a joystick invert for cruise control? Oh, that's actually something we're probably working on. That seems actually just sensible to do, doesn't it? What control system do you use when flying? I currently, and for the most part, MMX 2000, beautiful name, use a mouse and keyboard. I do have various HOTAS. I have a X52, an X56, and a Virpil Constellation Delta and throttle. Actually, I have two Constellation Delta sticks, and I love them all. Virpil is the best I've ever used. I think they're the best sticks, like, for me, hands down. But mouse and keyboard's just so much easier for me to use when I'm recording and doing news and messing around. Don't you think that's ripe enough for some guac? Yes, the current PTU patch should come out of guac. Overly ripe. It needs to be live. So there's just some major blockers. The AI are a bit derpy still at the moment. They want to get some balance done. Because the PTU's live through everyone, I don't have any major qualms with them getting it out. Close enough to a live release for me. Should be to most people, I think. Do you think they've considered making the Titan suit that can fly in space or Atmo with vehicle-sized components? Love the content. Thank you very much, Mr. Lynch. Very much appreciated. I don't think the Titan suit will be able to fly, although it might have some EVA capabilities, maybe some limited ones. That sort of makes sense. I don't think it's going to be able to like fly around like a Gundam or fight in ship combat or anything, but maybe it will have some limited EVA. I remember seeing some sort of decompression video. Is that a thing? Using that missile launcher inside a ship could be fatal for anyone on board. They plan to have the room system, which is supposed to be able to deal with pressure differences in hulls and rooms as they sort of like open doors. And explosive decompressions are still supposed to be a thing. So if part of your ship blows open, people get sucked out. If you open a door, people get sucked out. That's the idea. We don't have explosive decompressions yet on the roadmap, but they were working on them a few years ago. So I suspect there will be something that they get into Squadron 42. I suspect there will be something that comes to the persistent universe at some point in the not too distant future. If you could create the next ship, idea or theme, e.g. Anvil Carrier, what would you choose? At the moment, I would probably have a Anvil drone carrier. So like an Anvil drone Corvette sort of sized carrier. And it'd be mainly drone-based combat. When I say carrier, it would be a drone carrier. It'd be a drone ship. That's sort of cool stuff I want to see. But I want to see vehicles
15 months of shilling and my lowly tier 1 sub, winking face.
Oh, Huntress, I love your face. I was taking the piss out of Huntress in the podcast I was just in the base podcast. And she was like, I can't sub to the base. I was like, well, sub to me instead. I was like, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Huntress is one of my mods. And I literally couldn't do a lot of community-based stuff that I do without her. She's given me huge amounts of money for dressing up as a Japanese schoolgirl in the past. But I am actually starting to look at leveraging the community for gameplay and videos in the very near future for 3.5. Star Citizen, will Star Citizen have any inspiration from Warhammer 40k? Well, a lot of the people that work on it, especially in the QA team, play a lot of 40k. Still, I've seen people paint. You see stuff on Twitter of them painting stuff and putting stuff up. Not just the QA team, but loads of other people as well. And I suspect, yeah, Star Citizen is influenced massively by loads of different sci-fi tropes and things. Star Wars, Star Trek, Warhammer 40k, Warhammer 30k, lots of stuff. But yeah, going back to the next ship, whatever, I'd also want to see lots of ground vehicles, like salvage ground vehicles, repair ground vehicles, stuff like that as well. Love. Do you think there will be rental insurance you'll have to buy alongside renting a ship? I think in the first iteration it will be part of the same thing. So you'll just rent ships and sort of like, that'll be it. Will we ever be able to spawn ships at outposts? Ships despawn, and since we can't spawn them, it leaves us stranded. Jedbo Max, that's an interesting question, but no, I don't think you will be able to. I think you'll be able to potentially store some of your ships at outposts, but very soon they will want you to say where your ships are, and then once you've said where your ships are, that is where they are. You have to move them between points. And yes, you can be stranded. Being stranded is part of the game. You either need to get service beacon to come and pick you up, or there might be some other ways that you can be saved. Will we see another straight to flyable ship this year? Potentially, yes. We could see that at any time. See that with 3.5 Live even. We could see that with the November Expo. There's lots of stuff, obviously, they've been working on for Squadron 42, and lots of stuff they haven't told us about yet. There's potentially other ships they're working on for the persistent universe as well in the meantime. What is your opinion on playing Star Citizen with a RX 580? Should be fine. That's a reasonably powerful AMD card. Looking at building a new gaming system, but don't want to break the bank. Current system is 13 years old. Need I say more? I've done a video that you can build a PC for like $300. Anything like a 1060 onwards, RX 580 should be fine as well. Yeah, don't need to worry too much about CPU beyond a certain point either. You just need at least like 12, 16 gigs of RAM, a reasonable modern processor, and then a good graphics card. RX 580 or more should be good. I am looking, Jade, I'm looking at doing stuff for the People's Radio for next month. If you're interested and you're involved with that. We'll talk on the Discords. When is the Corsair expected to come out? There's no date on it at the moment. Obviously, the sale ends on the 22nd of April, I think. It's a ship that doesn't require any new mechanics. The Drake pipeline is pretty refined. I think you could see it as early as Q3 next year. The earliest you'd probably see it flyable. Will we have saves instead of reselling every 3 months? At some point, when they've got full persistence in and some of the other major mechanics, a lot of that stuff is coming this year that they want to get in that would potentially allow no more resets or few resets. I suppose that's what I mean. At some point, they will probably go, well, there's no need. We don't need to reset every 3 months. We can reset once there's a beta and then once there's a live release. So a couple more resets in the future, but and I suspect that would becoming you probably have no more resets in that form that I've described it as probably next year. BoredGamer, I want to ask you an honest question right now. You can ask me as many honest questions as you want. That's a question, isn't it? You're asking honest questions. In 2023, do you really think we'll be ready to go for real or what? I think Star Citizen will release a major persistent universe patch every 3 months or so. I think by 2023, we will have probably be beyond something that we would consider a live build, but they'll still be releasing major updates for it. They'll be doing that for ages, years, for the lifetime of the game, probably. Do you think we should have combat drones? It seems there's a decent amount of opposition against them. I think we should see other drones first. I think we should see scout drones to start with. Just give us some scouting drones, see what the remote controlled gameplay for a drone's like, and then we'll see if it's viable to have combat drones. I'm not opposed to combat drones, as long as they're, balanced. Quite like the idea of them, in fact, but we'll have to see. They might have plans for combat drones already. I mean, they might have like really derpy AI combat drones. They might have player control combat drones. They might have a mixture of the two, which is much more likely. Gameplay layout is totally bugged at the moment on the PTU. It's going to be fixed for 3.5 release. I suspect so. I don't actually use the gamepad personally. I suspect that's one of the blockers for the 3.5 live build. There was lots of problems with joysticks and HOTAS as well. Corsair versus Mercury Star Runner. Two very different ships. Mercury Star Runner, data and cargo runner, very fast, good blockade runner, good at keeping its signal low. Corsair, not so much of a data runner, great multi-crew, multi-role ship, much more gunny. The Mercury Star Runner is going to want to run, hence runner. The Corsair can probably fight, much more extended range, much more focused at exploration, but still pretty good at all tasks. And the Mercury, well, potentially not data running, and of course is probably not good for, but the Mercury is. And the Mercury is going to be more suitable for smuggling, although I suspect you probably can do that in the Corsair as well. Do you think there will be any type of body augmentation like cybernetics or maybe brain implants to give telekinesis or similar? No, not that they've discussed. There might be, when you die, whatever, you get augmented limbs or whatever, or replacement limbs. There might be, in the future, ways to augment your character further, but nothing extreme. But I don't think they want telekinesis. You might see NPCs, mainly other aliens, have telekinesis type powers, sort of like a weapon. Question, and it's a pointless one. Perfect. Which do you think will appear first out of the Mercury and the Santokiai? Good question. Probably the Mercury, unless the Santokiai is needed for Squadron 42. The Mercury Star, and I think they're going to start working on the very end of this year. It's not a super complex ship. It's going to be the first ship they do of the Crusader Industries line, I believe. Did you already talk about the Orion? I think I missed it. Haha. No, I haven't talked about the Orion. What do you want to know about the Orion? We can talk about the Orion. Big. It's got huge. The Orion's massive now. I don't suspect it'll be done for a while. I think the earliest you'd get it is the end of next year now. But it's a massive mining ship. Going on to the question you answered about ships on outposts, would you believe that locations that could be spawned at would have finite space? Would you have to go elsewhere? So, one of the reasons that they need ship-to-station docking is to spawn some ships that are either too big to spawn on landing pads or just wouldn't be able to because of their shape or whatever. This is like true of the Hull C apparently when extended, although it can compress, but you want to be able to do stuff with its cargo when it's got cargo on it. So that's one of the things they're doing this year. You can have ship-to-station docking in 3.8, I believe. If that's still the plan. If they moved it somewhere. Yeah, ship-to-ship docking and ship-to-station docking is both planned for 3.8 now, so December this year. You might not be able to spawn some of these ships on planets, or maybe you will, but it'll be very hard to get them out. One of the things is the Argo tractor beam version is all about helping ships get out of, well, one of the things it does is help ships get out of atmosphere and stuff. Is the Razor a snub fighter? No, it's not a snub. It's a full-size ship. It's just very small. Do you think CIG's current post-launch funding ideas will be enough to keep the Persistent Universe content pushing out every 3 months? That is a very good question, Paradox, because this is the sort of question I ask every time I see Aaron Roberts. Originally, when I had my first interview with him, I asked, what's your plans for monetization for Star Citizen post-launch? And do you think it will be enough to keep the game running? And he said, the plan is currently to sell Squadron 42, to sell Star Citizen and game packages, and to sell UEC. Now, I've done a video on this as well. There's obviously other stuff. There's the voluntary subs, there's merchandise, there's a few other things as well that go along with that. There's tickets to events, there's loads of other ways they monetize the game. Do I think that's enough to keep the game running for 10 years? Potentially. Depends on how much money goes into people buying UEC and the more and more people getting into the game. However, Aaron did say that they would look at other options sensibly as the project moves forward. So yeah, we might see lots of other things. We might see them continue to do concept sales. We might see them monetize it in other ways. As long as that doesn't become some sort of pay-to-win mad party, I'll be reasonably happy with it. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what they decide. I think the community should keep them honest, though, with that. What do you get as a loan of the Corsair if you purchase now? You get a Constellation Aquila and a Buccaneer. You get both. Boom. Do they have a timeline or plans for healing and medic-orientated ships? Any idea how that meta will work? So we know how some of the medical ships are planned to work. They have some medical gameplay coming in this year, which is more just sort of like dabbing people with medipens, NPCs and other players, sort of like to stabilize them. But beyond that, there's nothing on the roadmap yet. But there's 3 tiers of injury. There's light injuries, which is sort of like damaged limbs. There's more severe injuries, multiple crippled limbs, fully crippled limbs, stuff like that. So that's tier 3 light wounds, basically. Tier 2 crippled limbs, multiple crippled limbs, and tier 1 near-death injuries. And based on the facilities of the ship, they'll be able to either heal those or they'll be able to stabilize. So even the worst tier of ship, medical-wise, should be able to at least stabilize terrible wounds until you can get to a hospital. And these will give debuffs. These could kill you. These could drain your health. These could screw around with your stamina. Lots of different things could happen. Medipens at this time should get you back on your feet and stabilize you for a temporary period, is the idea. We also know that there's going to be sort of like little drones and medibeds that will come out of like some of the ships and grab people that are in space and bring them in on stretchers and things like that. The Medivac things. Do you think the 890 jump will go on sale for or with 3.6 and will stay under $1,000? Yeah, I think it will stay under $1,000. I think it'll be $890. That's a super expensive price. I think they'll have a limited hull sale of it, and I think it will be a flyable 3.6 sale. So end of June, you'll probably see that. Do you believe that Game Glass will be required reading when it comes to system management, or could Cloud Imperium potentially bake in a simpler in-game MFD control? I don't think Game Glass is essential. Game Glass is useful, and the free version of it is super useful to people. I think there will be lots of other alternatives that other people make as well. But I do think that Game Glass will be one of the best, probably. That could change, but I do like Game Glass. I think that CIG could make a home bake one, but I don't think they need to. I mean, you can control the MFD stuff in game anyway. Good day, Bored. Do you want up late? Well, I am up late, but I just wanted to sort of say hello to people and get involved a bit more. Hello. Yeah, 3.5 I thought was going to be live last week. I genuinely did. Surprised it's not live yet, but it means it's available to everyone on the PTU, so a bit of a bug hunt. There's some major issues with it. How much customization do you think when they put out weapon attachments in June? Only 1 to 2 scopes per gun or much more? I think the first iteration is going to be very limited. I think it'll be a couple of changes, a couple of scopes. Maybe they can be used on loads of different guns though, so maybe we'll get a few more. Different magazines, different barrels, barrel under barrel scope magazine. I think's the probably not citation needed. Do you think the amount of community content produced now versus previously is fair to subscribers? No, I don't at all. Eagle Airsoft. I think that we are starved for community content. I think that community, the subscriber money that people have paid, the voluntary subscriber money, which they were getting at least over 3 million a year for. I'm not sure if that's tanked, or I'm not sure if that's changed at all. And maybe it has. Maybe that's one of the reasons they've got less or whatever. I think that deserves more shows than they were actually putting out before. So when we did have Around the Verse, when we did have Calling All Devs, I still think we deserved more and wanted more. And we're paying for more. So hopefully when they come back in 2 more weeks with more Around the Verse, because they're taking a 3-week break after every major planned patch release. So even though that 3.5 isn't out yet, they're still out on their schedule, you know what I mean? We'll have ATV back, 3 weeks break. Hopefully we'll have something like Calling All Devs. Hopefully we'll have something like even better Reverse the Verse, better ATV, and some more content besides that as well. I'm going to reserve my anger because I've talked about it a bit and I've been like, well, I don't think I give money. That's why I give subscriber money, for that community content. That's what I thought it was for. Might be different for different people. I've got a very shiny head at the moment, so my head shines the more angry I am. But I will reserve judgment till they come back and see what they say. They might have some great plans, and they're allowed to change their stuff up. Do you think they will make a ship that has defense-based weaponry like thick smoke, like a squid? Well, with the power tech and stuff, they could have like big chaffs and big smoky things, but I don't think so. I don't think that's the plan. That could cause a lot of performance problems as well. When will there be playable aliens or alien NPCs? There will be alien NPCs significantly before there are playable aliens. We probably won't see playable aliens for years. They got it on their radar, but it's not a priority to have playable aliens. But alien NPCs, we'll start to see them at some point. Obviously, they've got the Vandal, which is Squadron 42 Episode 1. They're planning to release next year. But we should start to see like the Banu and the Xi'an and Tavaran. We want to see alien creatures as well, but it's not on the roadmap yet. Curious, last time the Carrack went on sale, how much did it cost? $400, I think. You can always check to see how much a ship cost by going into the upgrade section. Let me show you. What I do? Space Industries. Yeah. Desktop view. Oh, new merchandise. Pledge store. Upgrades. Click off my ships, and then literally search for the ship you're after, and you'll see, oh, Carrack, $400. So the last time it was on sale, $400. Basically how I sort of like see how much they're currently valued at. Don't know if you've mentioned this yet, but how are you and your dad doing? Hope it's well. So people that don't know, my dad is currently going through lung cancer. He had an operation to have it removed from his lung, which went well. Unfortunately, it had spread to his lymph nodes, so it is stage 2. He started having chemo. Chemo is not right for him. He fucking hates it. He doesn't necessarily need chemo. Hopefully the cancer won't come back. It's a variant cancer that can be treated by autoimmune pills and things. So if it does come back, they can slow it significantly. My dad is quite old. He wants quality of life over having to worry about cancer. So he tried the chemo, wasn't well. So we're deciding to stop that. Hopefully everything will be all right. It's only an extra 5% clear up rate, the cancer he has anyway. They're always developing new things. So if the cancer does come back, hopefully it will be in a far future, like 10 years plus or something, and they'll have treatments for his. So thank you very much for asking. It has been tiring, but he's doing well. The only thing I've really had to do looking after my dad is I've been cooking a bit more because I know he likes my food, and they're here at the moment. So. King Kong or Cell UEC will be a really bad thing for the game. We'll have to wait and see. It's always been a core thing. It's always been something they've said they were going to do. As long as they do it correctly, you've got to remember that you're always going to be able to buy ships in UEC for the game from somewhere. Even if they outlawed it, there'd always be a grey market. There's always be a black market. So there might be something said about regulating it themselves to a degree. I think it's something that we need to talk about closer to the time of release, and something we need to make sure we keep them honest with, and that stuff is implemented sensibly. We don't want a pay-to-win bullshit game, obviously, and there's certainly elements of pay-to-win in Star Citizen because you can buy ships. It just can a game be good and still have those pay-to-win elements? Yeah, fucking course they can, and loads of games have it. But do we want loot boxes? Do we want bullshit pay-to-win stuff? No, of course we don't. So we do need to keep them clean with that. They already know. They have made mistakes before, so when escape pods coming. So they need some of the physics grid tech. I can't remember what it's called. Multi-grid physics tech. So basically, after the hull C, we will start to see the parasite fighters. They basically need ship to ship docking, ship to station docking, and the hull C, which also has the multi-grid physics tech assumedly done for it, and the changing physics grids, and physics grids being able to share from other ships and pods and things, all together and done, then we can have things like the P-52 inside the Constellation, docking with that. And we can have escape pods. We can have the Caterpillar's command module detaching, things like that. Not on the roadmap yet. By the end of the year, all of that stuff I said is going to be done, but we don't know when escape pods are coming. We don't know when the parasite fighters are coming, but all the supporting tech for that should be done by the end of this year. Could Reliant Cores or Cores, I will accept it either, take over the verse? No, because they're a shit ship. No, well, I don't like the Reliant. I'm not a fan of it. I don't see a reason for it to be in the verse. Second tier starter ship, just buy a Avenger Titan. They do look cool. If I can fly them in either mode, then I probably like them a bit more. I'll try to warm up to them later. I will. Do you see ship ASOP terminals insurance allowing us to spawn stock ships or will we rely on NPC, PC ship transport to move multiple ships long distance? I think they'll be moved by NPCs and by players for the most part, moving our ships. We might be able to pay a reasonable amount of money to have them moved for us, that sort of stuff, but it'll be mission based, I suspect. Take care, Congo, mate. Getting Glasses subscription, but there's also a free version. There's a free version for Star Citizen, which will give you most of the stuff, not all the stuff that you need. Will a playthrough of Squadron 42 be mandatory before playing Persistent Universe? No. Separate games, don't need to play it. There will be bonuses for playing through Squadron 42. You might get better rep with some of the military factions. You might get easier access to things like the F8 Lightning civilian version and some of the military gear. So like you will have access to if you play through Squadron 42 more easily at least. I missed calling all devs as well. Extremely reaching hypothetically, do you think we'll see 3.5 this week? Yes, I thought we'd see it last week though, so. What are your thoughts on auto gimbals? I think auto gimbals. So, okay. There's skill ceiling in games and there's skill floors in games. Skill ceilings are super pro people. You can get really great at the game, putting time in, learning how to fly better, to aim better, to learn what loadouts are appropriate, that sort of stuff. That's a skill ceiling. You can keep on going. You can keep on getting better and better and better. Okay, that is important in this sort of game to a certain degree. It's important in lots of games to make them fun, to reward people that do things, to see ace pilots, to see people really good at certain roles in Star Citizen. And there's going to be a skill ceiling to loads of different things, whether that be cargo hauling, whether that be mission management, tactical gameplay, dogfighting, working out loadouts, everything in the game is going to have some form of skill ceiling. There's also skill floors. Now, skill floors are implemented in games to give people a bit more be able to compete with people that are more highly skilled, or allow people to not just be trash at the game, things like that. Thank you very much, Alfred. Love your face as well. And auto gimbals, in my opinion, is a big example of a skill flaw. It goes, well, guys, if you aiming's quite hard in Star Citizen at the moment, you might not necessarily want to aim whatever in the same way. Auto gimbals allow your gimbals to lightly track an enemy and fire so you can concentrate on flying. Now, skill flaw should mean that if someone, in my opinion, wants to use manual gimbals and gets really good with manual gimbals, they should be better than someone that uses auto gimbals and doesn't try to learn those other aspects of the game. Now, you could argue that auto gimbals, there might be some skill to them, and you could get better with them while also learning to fly, because the idea is that you can get good at flying, auto gimbal while being really good at flying. That might be really good, but manual gimbals might have a high skill ceiling. It might just be that, well, you sort of have to ignore 1v1 ship balance in Star Citizen because the Persistent Universe is a big, much more sprawling monster. It's lots of rock, paper, scissors when it comes to ships. It's about fleet battles. It's about tactical choices. It's about how to engage. There's a lot of EVE stuff going on here where it's about escalation and stuff like that. At least that's how I envision the Persistent Universe eventually. And it might just be that some ships are better with auto gimbals than manual gimbals and things like that. So you're not going to be able to wipe out and everything by using auto gimbals. You're not going to be able to use your prospector to be able to run combat missions. You're still going to need escorts and things. But we'll have to see how they're balanced. That's how I see auto gimbals. A reasonable skill floor so that everyone can be at least competitive in some way, even with those more advanced players. What I mean by competitive, one-on-one battles, you're probably going to lose most of the time with someone that's really good at flying and really good with manual gimbals. However, if you're flying with 5 other people and you're engaging a smaller wing of people, then you can still hit them. You can still participate in that battle, and you can go, well, we beat these guys because we had better loadouts, we engaged at the right time, a couple of our guys were using manual gimbals or really good at flying and dodging. So there's a lot to discuss here, there's a lot to see what's going on, but I'm okay with a skill flaw is what I'm saying, as long as it's not damaging to the skill ceiling. What do you think Star Citizen... What year do you think Star Citizen will be the most popular game? I'm not sure if it will be the most popular game. I think it will be massively popular. I think it will be great. There's going to be loads of other games that are free to play. I think it's got the potential to be as huge as WoW was. I just want it to be a great game for me, to be honest. We'll be able to give money to other players. Yes, there's a plan. There's more group features coming. There's more interaction features, and there's in fact in 3.9. Have a look. There's commodity transfer timers, there's accounting applications, and there's economy display terminals all coming in 3.9. I suspect that is when you will be able to transfer money to other players, if not before. As CIG talked about fidelity upgrades to ArcCorp, including adjusting the red on the plat. Not in very specific detail, but we know that they're constantly improving their procedural tech and their planet tech, and they're going to keep on polishing that stuff. I expect ArcCorp to look a lot better from patch to patch. I loved the way it looked when they used the fake texture for 2017. You know, like me having 3 game packages, I will get 2 AI units. We don't know at the moment. We don't know if you'll be able to use those characters from those packages as NPCs or not. They haven't made a firm decision on that. Will Crusader be made with Gas Cloud tech? Gas Cloud tech in Video 101 is different from the tech that were used to make Crusader. Crusader is a little bit of its own beast. Gas Giants are a little bit of their own beast, but they require multi sort of like layered fog tech and Gas Cloud tech and lots of other stuff together. The Gas Cloud tech they have been talking about typically is gas clouds and nebula in space, and the Gas Cloud tech for Crusader is more layered gas clouds, more layered clouds for that purpose. So it's a little bit different. So they are working on fog tech, they are working on cloud tech, and they are working on Crusader stuff. And obviously they want Crusader done for 3.9 now. So March 2020. Any news on VR and Star Citizen? Well, yes, Stussman. They talked about it recently. They said that VR is still on the cards. They still want to do it. They want to get Vulkan integration in first because it allows them to have a load more draw calls. And once they've got Vulkan in, they will then look at VR more in earnest. And Vulkan is planned. I think it's planned potentially for the end of this year. I think they want it in for Squadron 42, but citation needed. Well, I'm glad to hear that, mate, and I hope things continue to get better. Thank you very much, Excalibur. I love your face. Have you considered doing a cooking show? I used to be a chef in Romaine restaurants, head chef. Yeah, I might do some additional random extra content for subscribers and people that, you know, donate and sub and things like that. I might even do it on the main channel as well, maybe. Me and Zin are both foodies. Zin's going to be working for me full-time soon, so... Will we be able to travel to another star system next year? I believe so, NVIDIA, because I think that's what... Naturally, they'll probably move on to Magnus or Pyro systems. It's not... It doesn't look to be that complicated for them to do that now. I don't think, anyway. We will pretty much have all the astral bodies in by 3.9, so next year is when I would expect to see us having other systems. And in fact, in CitizenCon this year, we might even see them sort of like allude to that. Ship rarity, will there be ships in the verse which will be very hard to obtain regardless of money? Yes, there'll be reputation-based ships, there'll be military-gauge ships, there'll be the Banning Merchantman and some of the rarer ships, they will just be rarer. And larger ships will be rarer because they're large and hard to make. So ship rarity will be a thing. There'll be waiting lists. Even when your ship gets destroyed and you've got insurance on it, there'll be a waiting list. If you've got an Idris that's just been destroyed, it might take a week or 2 to get back to you. Did you say that they fixed the cam bug in the cockpit of the Xperia Blade 2? I feel like there's a lot in this patch that got fixed and not listed. I did not know that. I didn't actually know there was a problem in the Xperia Blade either. I have not flown it in 3.5. When do you think server meshing will come? After full persistence. So we'll see where we are at the end of this year. They do want to get a load of stuff in by the end of this year. They did want full persistence. They did want to get server-side object container streaming in by the end of this year. Server meshing, more likely first implementation end next year, something like that. Will there be procedural potatoes? Well, they're working on harvestable entity spawning, and they have talked about farming before. where you can change the topsoil on planets. And there's also going to be the biodomes on the Endeavour. I don't think potatoes would be procedural, but I do think that you will be able to plant and grow them. Space tubers. Chris Roberts mentioned they would do it, but when do you think they will stop erasing everyone's UEC after major patches? Larry, I think next year we will start to see less resets. They've used the term no more resets, but I suspect that means just few resets. They'll reset every time they desperately need to, or maybe when there's like a beta and then live build. But next year is when I suspect there'll be a lot more reasons to play because there will be progression. Hey man, what do you suspect the Cortec shuffle to be for scheduling? What? Server meshing moving on to the front? What? Squadron 42 stuff is taking paramount sort of like place at the moment. They want to get core of the game done. They want to get all of that stuff done. They want the game to look great. They want it to play great. And obviously that's going to massively benefit the persistent universe because there'll be a lot of finished framework for it, stuff that won't be changing anymore, which will be fantastic. But they're also trying to get full persistence in. They're also trying to get the finishing off of object container streaming in and all the server optimizations in. And then we'll start to see server meshing. And I think we'll start to see the first iteration of server meshing next year. Have you tried the flight module with the joystick? Yes. Unsuccessfully. Although auto gimbals are great. But I've been mostly using the mouse and keyboard. Do you think we'll be able to buy the F8 Lightning again? We haven't been able to buy it before. I think we're able to buy it in game. But I don't think we're able to buy it with real cash. Do you think Star Citizen will benefit from a publisher to keep CIG in line and focused? No, I think we'll have to wait and see to see how Star Citizen eventually ends up. Hopefully next year we'll get Squadron 42 Episode 1, and hopefully Star Citizen will turn up to be a really great game because they have no publisher. Publishers get things done. They get things done quicker. They get things done on a timeline. They push for things to be done. However, you do end up with a lot of shit because of that, as we've experienced over the last 5 years. I'm hoping that it's a great success story. But it's taking a long time because of that. Definitely. With the new roadmap and so much tech hopefully being done by Q1 2020, do you think it's possible that we'll have persistence in the persistent universe by the end of 2020? Yes. I think with a huge degree of probability. When do you think we'll get new star systems besides Stanton? I think we'll start to see like Magnus and Pyro star systems next year. I think potentially we could see a new star system next year, potentially two. It's just when they get jump points in, I don't see why they can't start expanding out some of the more simple systems. They're very simple systems. I've done some videos on them. You know of any plans to have certain manufacturers have specific homeworlds where you can only buy exclusive items there? Yeah. I mean, you'll have that at ArcCorp. You'll have that at Crusader. You'll have that lots of different shops across the verse. Yeah, there'll definitely be more exclusive items. And some places you're like on Crusader, you won't be able to buy certain ships there potentially because that's the only place to sell them because it's the only place they build them. Are you disappointed with the current state of AI? Yes, in the PTU, they're broken. All the combat AI are in the PTU. They need to fix that for the live build. It's a major blocker. When do you think there will be missiles usable in the persistent universe? They need to really work on missiles, in my opinion. They are supposed to be partly reworked for, I think, 3.6. So we'll have to wait until then. Beans? Yeah, Beans right. Any improvements with mining? They keep on making small improvements to mining every patch. I'll look at it when it's in live. I'll do an updated gameplay video for pretty much every gameplay loop for 3.5. Has there been any discussion giving fellow org members access to individual ships while the player is offline? They want to have a permission system. They want to have org features in like that. I believe that's something that is planned for this year. It does not appear on the roadmap currently, at least not specifically. When will we see AI NPCs and multi-crew ships for single players? I don't know. They need to finish off all the AI first, so probably after Squadron 42's release. We may, however, see AI modules before that can control turrets. Obviously, auto gimbals work, that's basically AI aiming for you. So they don't need to simulate a full NPC or get the NPC code stuff working. Well, I've got a really shiny head. Ooh, that's exciting. So yeah, we could see that in for much sooner. Potentially this year, but I don't know. Citation needed again. This is a long shot, but I was wondering, what is the state of Linux support? I do not know. I do not know. Squadron 42 will be released before the Persistent Universe. Yes. How many hours do you think you'll get out of the game of Squadron 42? It's got 27 chapters. Has it got 27 chapters or 28? I thought it was 28. 28. Boom. That's why I'm a Star Citizen Smartman. I think it's going to be 30 to 70 hours. And that's a big gap. He asked how many hours you'll get out of it. Average sort of playthrough, probably 30 to 40 playthrough. I think they originally said 70, but I expect it's more like 30. For me, I'll get a few hundred hours out of it. I'll play it to death. The Reliant Mako didn't seem to have much going on with its remote camera. Do you think it will receive reworks and further functionality? Yeah, of course it will. It hasn't got its gameplay mechanics yet. Neither does the Zen. It's the science one. But the Mako is supposed to have... Console is supposed to have lots of camera feeds. It's going to have its cameras working. We don't know what sort of gameplay we're going to get for the news van. We don't know if we're going to be able to stream to other sources in game or external to game, things like that. Yeah, it's going to be getting lots of work. Any mention of VR being implemented? Yes, they want to get Vulkan in first. They're working on Vulkan integration. Speaking as someone who loves Drake Industrial, I would love to see a heavy industrial ship from them. Do you think we're likely to see a concept for this within the next year? Also, what professions do you think would be left for our ship that would be suited to Drake? I don't think any industrial profession is suited to Drake in some way, definitely. I'd like to see maybe a medium miner from them. There's lots of stuff that Drake could do. Any of the roles Drake could do, I think they'd be suited to it. Would a Corsair be a good choice for explorers hunting? Yeah. Who would win in a 1v1 fight between a Corsair and a Constellation Aquila? Don't know, because the Corsair doesn't exist yet, and we need physicalized components to work that out. Drake will be at a disadvantage for precision shots. The Corsair has got a lot of weapons, though. When I mean at a disadvantage for precision shots, all of its components are housed in the center. And physicalized components, when they're there, Drake have a disadvantage with that because the components are much more exposed, typically. But we'll have to wait and see. I would go with the Corsair, personally. But it's going to be dependent on how you engage, where you engage, what your loadouts are, stuff like that. I like the Corsair. Will salvage include updog? What's up, dog? Lol, lol, lol. Thanks, NVIDIA. Sorry, did I take the fun out of your joke? Fuck you. Computer blades and other customizable options. Do you think that we'll be waiting for the new UI? Confused what you mean by that? They're all coming, and we are waiting on a new UI. They want to redo the UIs for everything, and they have said that. But I'm not. They're not on the roadmap. Iterative process. Since Squadron 42... Already read that one. How close are the Mercury ships to flight ready? They haven't started working on the Mercury Star Runner as far as I'm aware. I think they're going to start working on it at the end of this year. You'll probably see it next year, and then they'll start working on the Hercules after that. Do you think they're overcomplicating the heat and other management deliberately to give co-pilots something to do? Potentially. I don't think that's overcomplicated. I think that you need something for them to do. Will vending machines work? I believe so. That's the plan. Melon, question mark? Yeah, why not? What do you think, how long it will take for the resets to stop? I think we could potentially see less resets from next year onwards. I think we'll see full persistence. I think we'll probably see the first iteration of server meshing. Do you think that we've talked about that. How can I do not to get this expelled from quantum travel due to heat problems? So when you're in quantum travel, hold F, go to your MFD with your items, find your quantum drive, and then lower its power. You will not have heat problems anymore. However, it will take a long time for you to spool up and calibrate your drive. So when you're calibrating and spooling up your drive, raise the power on it again. To raise the power, you just hold F, left click, where you want the power level to be. When do you think we'll get real smuggling? They wanted black market economy in 3.6. I think we'll slowly get more and more missions, which sort of allude to real smuggling, but I don't think we'll get real smuggling till we have Cargo 2.0. Could get it by the end of this year. Or at least some more smuggly type things. I think one day that an alternative to the Kraken from another manufacturer might be available. Yeah, I think one of the things they were talking about recently was, let me show you this. Is special announcement from Aegis Dynamics. So they're announcing a new Aegis ship on the 24th of August. And I think that's going to be a competitor to the Drake Kraken. Is the UI going to get prettier? That's the plan. They're going to redo the UIs. They've wanted to do that for a while. Do you think they will improve holograms? Yes, 100%. Pretty much all the visuals and all of the stuff, all the lighting, all of the fog, all this stuff will get iteratively improved. A lot of it won't be fully reworked though, but it will get prettier. You can overclock the coolers, however, when it comes to components to help them to help stop overheating or whatever, you can reduce power to other items and stuff. The best way I found in the PTU at the moment, obviously is a bug or whatever, just reduce the power to that system. They still work fine, these systems. They just don't spool up as quickly. And when it comes to the quantum drives. Will the motherfucking displays be upgraded with the cockpit experience improvements in 3.8? I know they're working on the UIs and they want better displays. I don't know if it's coming in 3.8 though. I do know that they're having a better cockpit experience, so maybe. When will everyone be able to play 3.5? Everyone can play 3.5 now. Talking about Cargo 2.0, do you think that cargo weight will give us headaches if we are looking at ship like the Caterpillar? Yes, I think you won't be able to land on certain planets and certain moons if you are overladen. Well, you won't be able to get back up. I suppose if you're landing and you're selling, you'll be fine. You're buying and then leaving. Your favourite ship to fly in atmosphere so far? Arrow, I think. The one I've had the most fun with. I like the Cutlass, actually. Done a lot of missions with the Cutlass. I quite get involved and enjoy the Cutlass. What do you think we will get with the lore system first iteration? That is a good question. Let me read to you what we're supposed to be getting with the lore system first iteration. System allowing for areas to be associated with specific laws that security forces will enforce. A hierarchical jurisdiction system that will allow areas to be associated with a set of laws, each of which may specify a variety of penalties. Detection and dispatch mechanics will in turn accordingly enable local security and bounty hunters to make a living, a life of crime, a dicey, if potentially lucrative proposition. So you're going to have customs areas working. You're going to be able to hide narcotics and stuff for missions on you, and you might get scanned down and chased. That's going to be GTA type chasing. Reputation is going to be more important. And we can see in 3.5 now, you start to get chased, and more people appear eventually to chase you. The longer you stay in combat with the police. But this will be if you are detected doing a crime in an area, they will come and chase you then and there. And this will be in lots of different ways. This will be for missions. This will be on planets. This will be by stations and that sort of stuff. And lots more reasons to do lawful and outlaw gameplay. Will they replace Adobe Flash for Adobe Animate? Is that a joke? I've been drinking. Do you wax your head? No, it's naturally shiny. Estimated retail date. Star Citizen plans to release every 3 months a major patch indefinitely. However, I think we will have something a lot more akin to a beta by the end of 2021. And I think we'll have something a lot more akin to a release of the game by potentially end of 2022. But we'll have to wait and see. How long do you think we'll get before jump points? I think we might see jump points at CitizenCon this year, but I think we might actually see jump points in a new system next year. Did they figure out a solid way to roll out planets at a faster pace? Yes. They can easily generate planets. They can generate 100 systems in about a week if they wanted to. It's just the hero assets and the cities and stuff like that take a lot more time. Stuff they've been working on to date will allow them to massively quickly build out systems. Next year, hopefully, we should be able to show that. They will be able to show that. But to show that I'm correct in my thinking of that, hopefully. About Cargo 2.0, knowing that it will take time to unload ships for the cargo. That, for example, a HC2 would unload ore faster than a cat due to its ease of access to the cargo bay. Yeah, potentially. It might just be that some ships are quicker and easier to unload because of the ship that they are. Has the problem with the mobigas double animating been fixed in 3.5? Yes, it has. They no longer attack you. Don't go. That has been fixed. Bored with your head so bright, would you guide your stream tonight with all the viewers? Thank you very much. That's beautiful. Has there been any mention of dynamic weather for various planets? Do you think it will affect ships or what we wear? Yes, I think there will be environmental effects and dynamic weather. I know someone at CIG is working on dynamic weather. I think it's a bit on the sort of like backlog, but I know someone's sort of like been working on it. There's no roadmap date for it yet, though. What do you think will be the final go? What do you think will be the final goal to AI? I don't know what that means. I know that they want to get a lot of the finishing touches to AI done in 3.9 for the sort of like core AI, the core combat, NPCs walking around planets and stuff like that, FPS AI. That's March 2020. Do you think we will have a 3.8.5 because they can't add the third planet to server without server meshing? No, they don't need server meshing for it. They need server-side object container streaming, though, that allows them to turn off parts of the server. Have the devs talked about fixing the hair bug where your hair comes out of the helmet? Yes. NVIDIA, they have. They said that, it's actually fixed in 3.5 as far as I'm aware. I haven't actually seen it since. But when it comes to long hair and stuff like that, they want to put a cap on your head in the short term. But they are waiting on some hair tech to allow crazy hair in helmets. What do you think happens to this game when they figure out the Earth is flat and space doesn't exist? Well, I mean, it's in the same universe where the Earth is actually round. Question with 3.5 being late, do you think we'll get the other 300 series ships when it finally goes live? Potentially Excalibur. It might be that 3.5 happens to go live when they were planning the original 3.5.1 patch. But yeah, so we might get 3.5 just with the 300i. We might get it with all of the variants. But when we have all of the variants, they're also going to have some stuff on the RSI website for customization of those 300 ships. When we buy them, that could be being able to paint them in different colors, different loadouts by default, things like that. Question 3 craft, inspired from the quantum matter mining info prospector / Polaris combo. Lol. We don't really know how you're going to be mining quantum matter. You might be mining it in the prospector. It might be physicalized mining. It might be you have to mine it by hand and blow bits off. We'll have to wait and see. Hi, BoredGamer, do you know / imagine how they're going to model or scale down Terra? It's going to be one of the bigger things. Earth and Terra are going to be the two of the huge things they need to sort of like do, along with some of the like Xi'an industry planets and things like that. So I don't know how they're going to do it. They might just have a general sort of like procedure-generated thing based on all the other architectures they've got, and then just have some hero buildings in there. Are planets going to move around their star one day, or is that too hard? No, the plan is to have them revolving as well as rotating. So yes, they will be moving around. That's the plan still. No, it's not worth getting a divorce, Razamadaz. However, so will my wife let me play? If she doesn't, is it worth getting a divorce? Razamadaz, hopefully you and your partner can both do what you want in your lives to a certain extent. I know that having a partner or having a wife is a little bit of a compromise when it comes to certain things. Just play a bit, talk to them. I'm assuming they'll let you do what you want. You're a grown-ass person. How many solar systems do you think that we'll have when we have full persistence and the rest of the stuff? I mean, for full persistence, we might have it next year. We might have 1 star system. We might have 3. That's my expectation, between 1 and 3 by the time we have full persistence. Once we have like a more of a beta, I suspect we'll have 5 to 10 systems. Ibor, do you think that the tanks will make it in game before they start the Hercules Starlifter? Don't know. Don't know when. I don't know who or when they're working on the Tonk. I would like to see some military vehicles as well, other ones like APCs and light tanks as well. What chances do you think there will be for getting a space limbo for the 890? You want to party with limbo? Sure, you're about to roleplay it. What are the major performance tech landmarks past 3.5? What are the player caps for 3.5 servers? At the moment, they're still 50. They need server-side object container streaming. They need full persistence. They need server meshing. Those are the major ones. And then they just need general server optimization. A lot of that stuff is iterative. They need to do a load of stuff on the back end, but those are the major ones. About the weather system, do you think that if we fly into a storm like in the demo, that you can, in fact, fly through with it with skill, or is it an insta kill? It almost certainly won't be an insta kill. You'll see damage to your ship. You might see damage to your shields. You might be able to protect against that. You might see your instruments get a bit damaged. You might get struck by lightning, things like that. Hi, BoredGamer. I hope you're well. Are there any plans for a multi-purpose AOPOA or other alien ship? Not that we're aware of, but I suspect there are. 3.5 is out for everyone on the PTU, but not for the live build yet. Are you excited about the new heating mechanic coming later this year? A healing mechanic. Oh, I mean, I want the new healing mechanic. I'm not that excited about it. It is literally just jabbing other people with medipens and potentially being able to drag them. When the 890 jump ship arrives, will it be the biggest ship in game, or will it still be the Reclaimer? I think it will be the 890 jumper with the longest ship in game by that point. I have to wait and see. It might not 100% on its size. I think it's 155 meters. It's around the same size as the Reclaimer. Do you think there will be empty systems, like only a star and maybe some asteroids? Yeah, I think there might be ones that have just got a black hole in. You can have a look on the star map for that. But yes, I do think there might be some less, ones with no planets on, maybe. For all the 890 coming out in 3.6, you have the People Transportation Guide. What? I'll do a ship buyer's guide on the ship. Will we ever get lightsabers in this game? We've got a lightsaber knife that they've got planned from CitizenCon. You might see something like that, but probably not full-on lightsabers. You see like glowing, a sword that also glows. Probably. Right. Is it just shy of 200 now, the 890? Thank you. It will be the largest in the short term. But we don't know when 3.5 is going live. I was expecting it live last week. I was expecting it live by this weekend. I expect it to be live this week. It is available to everyone on the PTU at the moment anyway. Do you think the Idris and Javelin models will be available in the persistent universe by Q4 2019? I don't think so. They need a load of other tech coming online. They need the server-side object container streaming. They need full persistence. But I mean, it's possible. It's possible. They might go, we need a fuckload of money. Let's make these ships flyable and sell them at the end of the year sale. Right. I have a terrible fucking migraine. So, does anyone have any last questions before I jump off? I'm sorry it's only been very short. I will probably stream again tomorrow and actually do some gameplay and some chat. If I rub your head, can I see into the future? Yes. That's when it stops wiping. Space, DMV, and immigration. I doubt it, although they might be alluded to in lore. Do you think we'll have multiple capital ship battles, a javelin with 3 addresses versus another javelin with 3 addresses? Yeah, there'll be giant capital ship battles. When do you think we'll have fauna and or other aliens? I'm hoping we start to see that sort of stuff this CitizenCon. It's been something they haven't really been working on that much, have they? We saw the little oni crabs, the little like space floaty rats, and the worm and space whales and things, but we haven't really seen any of that implemented properly in game. I don't know. It's something that's a major thing. We want aliens. We want alien animals. When do you predict the Orion release to the PU? Earliest end of next year. It's huge. It's a huge monster of a ship. Is persistence due for 3.9? I think they're trying to get full persistence in for this year, although there will be more that needs to go into full persistence than just its first iteration. Do you think we'll have pets in the future? Yeah, that's the plan. Besides the Titan suits, do you think there will be real battle mechs at some point in game? I think some people will push for that. I think we'll have at least small versions of that with the Titan suits. I mean, if they plan to support the game for 10, 15 years, we probably will see mechs at some point. Do you think they will fix ships glitching into stuff? Yeah, I mean, they want to. We'll certainly get that at some point. Right, love you guys. You take care. We're going to go host someone. So it's only quick, but I just wanted a quick hello. Bam. Right, we will go and host Rexilla because I'm showing he'll be doing some interesting content, hopefully. Right, love you guys. You take care. Love. Thank you very much for all of the support and the Patreons and the donations and the things. I love you guys. Take care. Peace. Oh, I've moved myself now. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to talk about BritainCon and stuff. We'll talk about it soon anyway. But BritainCon's end of this month, 27th of April. BritainCon. No, not British Airways. Britain. Big Star Citizen Fan Fest helped inspire CitizenCon in its current format, I believe. I'll be there. There'll be lots of CIG devs there. The panel's there. Big Star Citizen Funny Fun Times is in Manchester, in the UK's. Come down if you can. And all donations and stuff like that at the moment are going towards that for travel or beer money or whatever. But love you people. Thank you very much. You take care.